As we approach the 20th anniversary of the attack on 9/11, it is vital that we remember that of the thousands of people who died that day, some were not American. And of the Americans, they were of different ethnicities and backgrounds. In fact, the first victim number one at Ground Zero, was a gay man, a recovering alcoholic, and a first responder. He was an ordained Franciscan priest. His name was Reverend Michael Judge, and he was a fire chaplain with the New York Fire Department. Father Michael served valiantly, heroically. He served because he was answering God's call. All the responders that day were answering their calls. They didn't stop to question. They ran into the fire, up the stairs. They chose where they would take their stand. And they knew long before the call came that they would. In this scripture, we see Peter struggling with a decision. But once he makes it, he stands his ground, and he's being called to account by those back in Jerusalem to explain why he crossed the line, why he did what he did, why he went to those who were not considered acceptable, who were not considered clean. Something that Peter himself could not have dreamed of doing just before he did it. But he was convinced by God. And the evidence that he was right was that God's Spirit was poured out upon these people. For you see, one of the lessons that we should know from the scripture and we should learn from 9/11 is that God's love is not limited, that it's not a zero-sum game. It's not for us and not for others. It is for all. Michael Judge knew that. Michael Judge lived that. Michael Judge died that truth, that love. And we should honor his memory by doing the same, by understanding what Peter understood, that God calls nothing and no one unclean. You and I need to examine what limits we place on the love of God. And any that exist are there because we place them there. For indeed, there are no limits to God's love.